Hello and welcome to Just in 10 with Barrett. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Remember to hit those like, comment, and subscribe, and everything in between that you usually do on a YouTube video. That would be really awesome. I probably can't speak this fast for that long because I'm going to have shortness of breath because it's been quite bad recently. But we're talking about mental and physical health and the connection between the two. Is there a big connection? Yes or no? So, as always, I researched all the little bits and pieces and I looked into it. So, what did I discover when I was looking into this? According to mentalhealth.org.uk, there is a link between mental and physical health. Nearly 1 in 3 people with long term physical conditions have mental health conditions. So that's 1 in 3, which they're saying. However, Nuffield Trust put this at 46%. However, Nuffield Trust was done in 2014 to 2015. No scientific research is perfect. That's something else that must be added. So let's head back to mentalhealth.org and their information that they have. It says that mental health problems are more likely to have preventable physical health conditions such as heart disease. This is something which I mentioned earlier. You're not less likely to take care of your body if you have a mental health issue or your mental well-being's not as good because you don't take care of your body as much, and that therefore means you are more susceptible to physical conditions. So by preventing mental health issues, and if we had more mental health well-being at the starting building blocks, we could probably build a better house for our own health and well-being. So should more money be put into mental health to prevent these things happening? Mentalhealth.org lists 5 reasons. One, it is genetic, low motivation, difficulty concentrating and keeping plans. So that's, for example, doctor's appointments, etc. Lack of support to change, less likely to receive or go for help. I did touch on that one myself. My thoughts. Personally, I get the connection is quite huge, and it's really important that we never ever downplay mental health and well-being. When I was living in South Wales, my doctor was terrible. Mental health wise, my doctor was terrible. Really, really poor. Didn't really do anything for me, just like, here's tablets. And it wasn't the greatest experience I've ever had. However, it was a devolved issue. It's a Labour issue in Wales, and in England, it's a Conservative issue because again, it's. But let's not get into the politics of this. Up north, where I now live, I've had a much better support system. However, my life has had more ups and downs up here, but that's the thing. We have had, or I have been there, and I've been through 2 different mental health systems, and it just feels like a postcode lottery. And I'm guessing, even in England, you've got a postcode lottery everywhere in England about how good the service is that you're getting. During my research, I did take something of note, and it's guidance for schools in England. And it reads this: the aim of teaching pupils about physical and mental well-being is to give them the information that they need to make good decisions about their own health and well-being. It should enable them to recognise what is normal and what is an issue in themselves and others, and when issues arise, and how to seek support as early as possible from appropriate sources. It goes on to add, effective teaching should aim to reduce stigma attached to mental health issues and other health issues, in particular those with mental well-being. Schools should engender an atmosphere that encourages openness. This will mean that pupils feel they can check their understanding and seek any necessary help and advice as they gain knowledge about how to promote good health and well-being. Firstly, I have issues with something that was said in this. There is no such thing as normal behaviour. Everybody's behaviour is different. There's no such thing as a normal baseline of behaviour. I do hope that in the future this guidance, though, and if schools push this correctly, I do hope it really helps, because the amount of stigma that there is around mental health is absolutely atrocious. Discovering what that, I delved a little deeper, and it helped you. Some of the stuff they mentioned is how to recognize and talk about emotions, that bullying affects mental well-being, where and how to go to seek support. This goes to speak a little bit about healthy eating, smoking, and first aid as well. I do believe that this kind of guidance in school is really, really important. I think it should have been in 10 to 15, 20 years ago. if I'm honest. But there has always been that stigma around mental health. There's always that stigma around all these issues, which seems to me to be extremely wrong. Let's look at something else though, because obviously mental health and your well-being and mental health issues comes into other stuff like money and your work. Um, 180.2 billion 22 the year 2022 to 2023. Thank you, King's Fund, for that. Is how much we'll spend on the NHS in England. 13.8% will go to mental health services. The HSE reported that in 2021, stress, depression, or anxiety, and musculoskeletal disorders accounted for the majority of lost days of work-related illness. Again, should this 13.8% be a little bit higher because of the things it can stop and prevent? You will have your own opinion on that. Should that 13.8% be higher? Should there be more money going into mental health and well-being? Would it stop some of this illness that we have and some of these days off that we have? It's well worth noting that the lost days of employment is higher than it was before COVID restrictions. COVID restrictions, since then, the lost days has increased for mental well-being and other illnesses as well. Interestingly, the highest average days off in the workplace is government. So, if you work for the government, you're most likely to have the most average days off due to mental health and well-being. Either that means they're very good at it or they're very poor at it. You make your own mind up. The mind and pain. Personally, I have seen this in myself. I have a bad knee. I use pain relief on it occasionally. It's usually when my mental well-being is not as good. There is a phenomenon, and it's called psychogenic pain, and it occurs when the pain is related to underlying psychological, emotional, and behavioural factors. Thank you, Dignity Health, for that. I guess you could also connect and affect the information someone of a side effect to a pill. The brain is a powerful ally, and it's also a phenomenal enemy. It really is, because I know I struggle with pills. I know I struggle with most antidepressants because they've made me physically ill. However, how much of that is actually in my mind and not an actual side effect, I don't know. But I dare say quite a bit of that is actually in my mind. I don't think, and my body is creating these issues. Next thing I want to look at is something called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. I won't say it again because it's too long. Causes your heart's main blood pumping chamber, the left ventricle, to change shape and get larger. This weakens the heart muscle and means it doesn't pump as well as intended. But how is this triggered? It's believed to be triggered by extreme emotional and physical stress. So, when we talk about elderly relatives or people who lose a loved one, then going downhill and sadly passing away a year later, there is actually reason and scientific proof that there is reason behind why this happens. This is usually known as broken heart syndrome. It actually affects more women than men. We end on stigma. A study in 2018 showed that 30% of people believe that depression was caused by weak personality. Could you imagine if you asked these same 30% of people about broken legs and broken arms? What, does that person just suffer with weak bones? It angers me that even in 2018, this number's so high. That was from a brief survey of public knowledge of stigma towards depression, nih.gov. So to summarise, mental health and physical health have a massive connection. The UK government is doing their utmost to end stigma in mental health with children aged in primary and secondary education in the UK. Mental health receives 13.8% of NHS funding, but it's the biggest reason for days off. The power of the brain is incredible and heavily affects our physical condition. However, we don't respect it. Many people don't respect it as much as physical health, yet it has the ability to affect physical health. Overall, there is a huge link between mental and physical health. Yeah, a large number of people are still filled with stigma and disdain if you want to talk about mental health. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for checking all this data out with me. I hope you have a fantastic time. I hope you stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you next time.